All right.
Um, like I was saying earlier, I had some problems with my camera, so I apologize for that. But today we're going to talk a little bit about uh, fixing kind of the biggest leaks we see in the process of a full sales funnel. So, you know, going from leads to newly signed, new jobs in the door. And this, we've got Brandon Miller with us. He's the a partner of ours at Inspired Painter Marketing Agency. So welcome, Brandon.
Happy to be here, Tony.
It should be a good conversation. It's going to be one of those that's foundational for a lot of companies, but it's also a really good reminder. So we're going to talk a little bit about, well, what is a sales funnel? What does that mean? Or at least how we think it is. And years of experience either running a painting company, running a digital marketing company, running all kinds of companies. We've had our fair share of what a sales funnel is. And then talk a little bit about the 3 pillars of a great experience. So what happens when you're out there prospecting for new leads, or they're looking for you and they come across you, and then that starts their experience with you. So we'll talk that, and then we'll get into the details of how to find and fix the leaks in your funnel and what those are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the sales funnel. And Brandon, before I kind of bring this up on screen, how would you describe a sales funnel?
I would describe it as a big opening to be able to have customers or potential clients know about you. So that would be either through, organic social, through like running ads, through your website, through networking. I mean, it could be an endless amount of things. It's really just attention and awareness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're looking for the service you provide, and you are found by them. And it could be someone looking on their phone because their honey-do list this summer or this spring is to paint the house, and they want to hire somebody to do it. Or it could be they're on their social feed at night and they see an ad. A lot of times, just having one channel where it's just paid search or paid social or might not be enough. So it's that consistent pipeline. That's the first part of the funnel. But that isn't it, right?
Correct.
What else is a part of the funnel?
The more narrow you got to get your sales intact. So that would be, your sales process, how you present things, your information that you could give out.
That's right. Yeah. So someone comes to you now and they call you, they enter a form on your website. They call you at night, but your voice message answers, or your answering service answers. Anywhere where they're getting to a process where they're going to get a quote from you, and they're ready to start that process. They're done with their research and they're ready to start. Most people think that's the funnel, that's the sales funnel, but there's another part of that, and that is what happens after you win the business and do the work. And what a lot of people know about is, oh, well, get reviews, or we get a testimonial, but they really don't understand fully what that means. It basically helps with awareness on the front end, and it helps with trust, because people want to trust you. If they find you, they want to see that you do good work, and they don't want to see marketing necessarily. They want to see actual reviews from people.
And yeah, exactly. Because people don't buy just the service that you're providing. They buy their time and they buy trust.
That's right. So this really is the funnel. We can get into all kinds of detail in this, but that's not what this webinar is about. I want to talk a little bit about leaks. And most of the time, and the reason why we choose symptoms is because this happens after the fact. So, hey, we're investing in marketing, investing in getting leads and maybe a website, but we don't have enough coming in yet. Also, maybe you get leads in the door and you have people, but you just don't get the amount of quotes out for whatever reason. And then there's situations where you ask yourself, why aren't we closing more jobs? Like, is it competition? Is it what we're saying? Is it what we're doing? We seem to be getting a high enough volume of these things. What's going on? So these are kind of the symptoms. If you find yourself saying, these things to yourself, like, is that right? We're spending the money, but not enough's coming in. If we could just send out more quotes, we'd get more business in the door. Or, hey, why aren't we closing more jobs? We've got quotes that are going out the door. So these are the symptoms these are after the fact. This tells you that you have a little bit of a leaky funnel in a few different places, potentially. And that's what we'll get into. Anything to add on this, Brandon?
I'd say you hit it. It's really just a repeating cycle that people get stuck in with these three. It's like they start at the top, work to the middle. We can't get enough leads. We get leads, but we just need to get more quotes out. And then it's like, oh, we're not closing enough. It's because of the competition. And then it cycles back around. Got to break that loop.
Why do you think people business owners get stuck in this?
I believe it's honestly like a limiting mindset and limiting belief, because they're just not opening their eyes to their actual systems and what is going on.
So you have to drill in a little bit to fix the leaks.
Yeah, you got to look inside as well.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to make sure that we touch on always is leaks could be caused by several different reasons, but and depending on which part of the funnel they're in, you absolutely want to make sure you are crystal clear on who your ideal customers are and what your story is. Like, are you telling a differentiated story, or because when people check you out, sometimes, like you said, they buy because of reviews, but they also might buy because they take a quick 30-second look at your website on the about page and, boy, I like that guy's story. Or they'll look at the work that you've done, obviously, if it's out there. But you need to put this information out there clear. Also, they need to understand what kind of experience they're about ready to get into. Like, hey, if you're interested, here's what we do. And if it's not clear to people, sometimes that'll cause pause in that sales funnel, and that causes drop off there. What do you think about getting clear? Does this cover it, or do you think there's more? Or do you think we should drill in on any of this stuff?
I think going in on the story is actually very, very important, and just like creating your ideal client, just like you're saying. But like the more you could define your story through even just social media, through websites, the more people's shoulders go from being all tight when you're salespeople, or if you're doing your sales, they go down a little bit. They're more relaxed because they feel like they know you, right? So telling your story is huge, and being transparent with the process makes it even easier because they know what to expect. It's not like, well, what's next? So the more that you can put out, the more comfortable your potential clients are, and the easier of experience they have and you have with the sale.
Yeah, a lot of, I think, maybe newer business owners, they go, well, who's our customer? Let's just take painting, for example. Um, well, it's somebody who wants their house painted.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say that is how even I thought at first when I started my company. It was just anyone with a pulse that had a check, right?
Yeah,
But then you start finding out like, oh, not everyone is somebody I want to work with. Like, for example, we don't really even do decks anymore, like deck refinishing, because that's just not like a service we want to offer. And then also on top of that, like our ideal client is really like Susan about between 50 and 70 years old, um, can't really paint on her own and just kind of stays out of our way and says, hey, I just need this painted, right? So it's easier for our job as far as project goes and a lot easier to sell as well because she's like, yeah, I know I need this done.
right. Interesting. So, how long do you think it takes a company, if you were to start a painting company today, or an HVAC or moving storage, whatever type of contractor business, but let's just stick with painting. How long do you think it should take someone to really know who their customer is?
I think you start finding out between the first 3 to 6 months. I think it would be better to know before you start what your ideal is, but I think the more you swing the bat, the more you actually realize what your niche is because some people do like, painting apartments and stuff or like new construction, for example. That's never really been my thing on the painting apartments, but we even like new construction, right? So sometimes uh, Bob the Builder is actually our ideal client.
Right. Not
Um,
necessarily a customer, but he's another contractor that refers business in or leverages you guys to come in and do good work. Um,
exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. That you bring up a really good point, because I should have said, also we should talk about partners. We can talk about that in a minute. But what this does say is the more clear you are, and experience tells us the more clear you are on this, the less likely you are to have leaks in your funnel, because you get the right people in the funnel and you are providing an experience to them.
Amen.
Uh, so let's talk about that experience. Um, the first thing that pops up is people have reasons they want your service. In some cases, it's a planned thing on a seasonal basis. Nicer weather, more houses get painted on the outside. Um, Maybe during winter, they move inside and do paint jobs in the middle, or in the interior of the house. I don't know, but every customer, every prospective customer has the reasons they're looking. If you're a plumber, maybe it's an emergency, or a roofer. It's can be a planned thing or an emergency. But they all have their reasons, and they go out and get information that's available to them. So they're using the internet, they're talking to their neighbor. Um, they might be talking to the guy that's putting in the cabinets, and is like, oh, do you know any electricians? Because we need under cabinet lighting. You just never know where they're going to get that information. But one thing's for sure, they also, leading up to making a decision and you getting a closed job, a new job, is they have expectations around quality and service. And what are they going to get? What are they going to get? Or what do they expect to get? Maybe they've never had their house painted before. And maybe they've done it 3 times and they know everything about it. But each person has different expectations going in, and your sales experience that you provide them, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, helps them, helps them tip tip the tip the sale in your favor when they have certain decision criteria. Um, the reason why these are bubbled is and their specific sizes is because you notice the reason and the job closed bubbles are fairly small. But the job quality expectations, the experience, decision criteria are really big. And that is because people make things up in their mind about what they expect, and they have a picture in their mind about what they expect the experience should be. And if you and they have decision criteria based on what they're going to go, who they're going to go with, because they might get a few bids. So if you can match the job quality expectations or match the expectations of the experience, and then ultimately meet their decision criteria, you win that business. But then there's after that too. And you'll notice that there's two big bubbles called job and quality expectations. There's before they started talking to you, after they gave you the business, and then after you were done. Ideally, those things match up, right? Because if they have, and I'll let you speak to this, Brandon, but sometimes people get themselves into trouble and have really, really high expectations, and then they find somebody that can't deliver on those expectations. And now, even though that person did a great job painting the exterior of their house, or did a great job from a technical standpoint, it didn't meet their expectations. And therefore, that's going to impact their experience and what kind of review you might get. Have you had that experience?
Yeah, I feel like even sometimes when you have contractors in your own home, that could happen, even being a contractor, right? And a big thing as a salesperson that's important is not to overpromise to have your crew come in and underdeliver, right? Setting those proper expectations at that first bubble, exactly like what you're saying, is very important, and just as important as doing that walkthrough and making sure that everything is exactly what we set those expectations as at the end and throughout the process as well. Because during that delivering the service bubble, right, the that's also kind of intertwined. It kind of overlaps into that job and quality expectations, because the job part of that expectations is during the delivering of the service, because
Yeah.
you're selling that time and you're also, selling an experience. Because if somebody comes in to replace your windows, but you hear the guy grumbling the whole time and blaring some music that's, curse words and all this stuff, and you got a little one running around, that's making that experience even like worse. Like they could do the best job ever, but if my daughter starts saying a bad word because she heard the window guy saying it, that's a problem, right? And that
Yeah.
makes it my expectations like not met.
Right. And this happens even in marketing too, right? Um,
Yeah.
what are you expecting when you hire a marketing agency? What's your goal in doing that? What are you putting your hard-earned money down for? And part of that is in a service industry like digital marketing, there's can be a learning curve if you've never done it before. And so trying to establish solid expectations, and sometimes people hear what they want to hear, but most of the time people, if you're asking the right questions and confirming and being an active listener, opening your ears, uh you'll hear what people expect, and having the right questions is there. But so this experience matches the funnel we talked about earlier, and let's talk a little bit about where the leaks are. So when you're out there looking for your painter or your roofer or your electrician or whatever it is that your service contractor you're looking for, there might be a poor market or message to market match. And that goes back to, do you have your ideal customer profile defined clearly? Do you know who you're talking to and what they need to hear from you so that you can when they read what they read online, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a memorable group, right? I read
Mhm.
a great review from somebody that just wasn't like, oh, Brandon did a great job. It told a story because you provided that experience. Or let's say you're into all you do is luxury homes. Well, if all you do is luxury homes or want to do luxury homes and the information you have on your website shows a rambler, you know, um, that's a mismatch. That's poor messaging. So they may get to you. You may run an ad. That's the other thing. You may run an ad that shows imagery of people you don't want to come to your website. And maybe you get the ad right, but you don't have the right imagery and message on the website. And so they bounce. So you want to be rememberable and you want to have a good market to or message to market match. And that just means spending some time getting clear on who you want to do business with and who you don't want to do business with,
Yeah, I think they're both equally as important.
because you want to repel the people you don't want to do business with. And that's, some people forget about that. So, okay, now the information's out there and available, but you're not doing enough to get it found. They can't find that information about you. And this is why it's a little harder to start, a little harder when you're starting out, because you have to build this stuff up. Um, Brandon, why don't you talk about that next one, know or slow information to share during the sales process?
I mean, this is a vital one, having great information available about your company, and then circling back to what we started with, it's like having your story out there. So having a story about your company, like what your guys are about, what services you offer. A brochure is a great way to take into any sales meeting with clients, potential clients, because then even when you're walking through, you make sure you leave them with something that's like a hard copy and they have something to see. Also, making sure that they do have your links, because sometimes these people are coming in not knowing anything about you. Sometimes the paint store actually referred you and they just know your name, right? So making sure that they have that information available to them is exactly how you get their shoulders from being tight to down low, ready to buy.
Got it. So there's a few other leagues now that once you get to the point where, okay, you close that business, or they're in a place where they're getting bids. You have to have kind of appropriate sales follow-up, right?
Definitely.
You don't want to hound them to death, but you also don't want to go days without getting them information and following up. And there's different ways to trigger automations to do that, but that's stuff that has to be built. Um, the other thing that you might want to talk about is presenting quotes on the spot, when you go out on site, especially for painters.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think somebody I taught this to just hopped in, Eli. He did it, and the first time he did it, he actually sold a job and got the deposit that same time. It blew his mind. Isn't that right, Eli?
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, exactly. So it went from taking in, it might even take a couple days to present that quote, because it's like, oh, it got put on the back burner. You got home, you're tired, you just finished working all day. So then you go to estimate, and then you're not presenting it right there. So then it laxes, and then you go back to work, and then sometimes it doesn't even get there for a couple days. So if you just take and walk it, you could even be writing it up as you're walking around, and then once you're done writing it up, you present it, and you just kind of sit and bask in the silence after you tell them that price, because a lot of the times they're like, well, let's get going, and it's mind-blowing how much money gets left on the table by not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned, it's kind of a sales thing where, just be silent. It's let them make up their mind. Plus, if they've had a good experience during that process, during that walk around, the chances go up. And so many people are busy with so much information these days, and 2 days doesn't seem like a long time, but it is in the internet world. Think of
Yeah,
how many pieces of information you've looked at in 2 days.
literally, I mean, speed kills, and life happens. So sometimes, they get so busy and they're just not even mentally available to, oh yeah, I meant to look at that email. Well, how many emails did they get that day? And if you just cold send an email, I mean, it's crazy. And if they don't have time to present that quote on the spot, then you schedule a time to go over it with them. And I like to call it not necessarily just, hey, I have your quote ready. It's like, hey, I have our game plan together.
Right. Right. Well, as you're going along too, before they make, or even after you've closed the job, you've won the bid. Another leak is getting them scheduled for service.
Yeah.
Now you have to get your team out there.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
tell me that experience. How does it, because I think of that and like, oh no, in the marketing game, what we would do is we close something, we say, all right, before we do this, we're going to schedule a kickoff call to get everything moving. So it's similar to, the day you're going to start working on a project. What happens there? Why do companies delay in doing that?
Well, if we're being transparent, we even still give a tentative start date, and then we just communicate weekly to make sure that they know we're on track. Because sometimes, like, life happens for our crew. I mean, sometimes, for example, this Monday, one of our guys had to put his pet down, and I'm not going to say, yeah, you got to be at work after you put your pet down at 1 o'clock after finding out, being at the emergency vet, and that put us like a half day behind on one project, right? And
Yeah.
or for example, for exterior painting, sometimes it takes and it's raining, so you literally can't work, and that pushes all the backlog back. So that's why we give clients tentative start dates at literally the day of signing or the day after signing. Our office coordinator does that, and then that eliminates that friction, because we say, hey, it's a tentative start date. Stuff happens. Sometimes it's raining, or for interior work, hey, sometimes like an extra bedroom gets added, and we or there's extra work that was unforeseen. So that's why we want to give you, hey, we're going to be starting on Monday, this coming Monday. We'll make sure to let you know Friday if we need to push that back to Tuesday or not. And I think having that clear communication loop with it and setting the expectations is what really fixes that leak. And then to circle back on the appropriate sales follow-up leak, a really important thing to do is schedule the follow-up. So they don't sign on the spot. Go ahead and say, yeah, completely understand, Susan. Let's go ahead and pull out our calendars. Let's see. Is this coming Monday at 3 o'clock a great time to go ahead and call and just go over everything and make sure that everything's clear and see if you want to get on the schedule? Perfect. And then afterwards, send in a quick little selfie video thanking Susan for the time, and just like saying how beautiful the home was and how great of a time you had, goes miles.
So there's a process, a method to the madness. What you're really talking about is just communicating, proactively communicating. And even if things have to slip, like getting the service started, getting things going, people understand if you communicate. But if you're out on a ladder somewhere and you forget to do this and do that, and things slip, oh yeah, I forgot. That's where things get into trouble.
Exactly.
That's the leak, because have you ever had anybody, and okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Have you ever had anybody close a job that then said, hey, no, you guys are too late doing this. You know,
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
we're not going with you.
Yeah, 100%. We called them to actually get it going because we hadn't communicated in about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we were about to start them the following week. So we called them on a Wednesday, and I say we. This was when it was really just me on that ladder you were just talking about, right? And when we called, they're like, "The project's already done. I'm sorry, Brandon. We couldn't wait." I
Oh
felt
yeah,
jaded, and I wanted to point my finger at that client because that's the easy thing to do, right? But then when you
yeah,
step back and you really like look within, like what we were talking about earlier, you realize, oh, that was actually my fault because I wasn't communicating with them at all.
yeah. And then this last one is hey, you did a great job. You're just not you just don't have it in your system to ask for the review or the referral of your process.
Yeah, that one needs to be an automation. It also needs to be set at the, beginning of delivering the service. Yeah, we're going to do everything to earn that great review from you throughout the job if you can, and then at the end when you're walking around, like, so do you think we earned that review? Yeah, awesome, cool. I just sent you the link. It'll take you like 23 seconds to fill out. Can you do that for me? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it truly helps us grow, and will keep us around for when you're ready to paint again, because ultimately, like, we rely heavily on word of mouth, and that helps us. So we always ask for that, and you can triple dip and say, hey, if you see anybody that needs us, please let them know about us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So those are let's call it 5 or 6 leaks that happen during the whole process. And you know, I think a lot of businesses, not just painters, but other contractor business, even marketing businesses like us, we have a process, we provide an experience, and it's about running the same play with consistency over and over and over again. Um, and leaks happen when there's inconsistency. So let's talk about fixing the first piece, the first leak. So poor message to market match, can't find your information, forgettable. The thing that you have to think about is, where are you positioning, and where are you promoting your appearance? A website is kind of the cornerstone. Trucks, if you've got a truck wrap or painted, um, in your ad copy, depending on what kind of ads you're running, and do you have leave behind brochures? All that needs to be really, really consistent in how they message and how they look. And when they do, you just come across as professional. And it is as simple as that. But you need to have someone who understands how to design and write and build those things for you um, at some point. Let me ask you this, Brandon. When you started, let's say in your first year, your painting company, did you have all of these things at play? Were you using all these things, or did you?
I had created a really crappy website on my own with a buddy of mine. It, you know, at least was a website. It landed zero from it because it wasn't set up right. So you can get it set up, but ultimately, if it's not set up right, it's not doing much for you. Trucks, no, I had a '09 Malibu. I was shoving a freaking power washer in the back. Ads, I didn't even know what ads were. I knew what creative was. I was definitely doing creative, but I had no clue what ads were. And
So you're out on
brochures,
Facebook. You're a big. You like Facebook, right?
yeah, and this app called Nextdoor as well. So
Oh yeah,
Nextdoor is great for home service contractors.
interesting. So when you say you knew what creative was, what does that mean?
That means I knew how to get creative, baby. And that means that I was able to I've always been a good like writer, I guess. So I could create stories on like Facebook and Nextdoor and get attention with them. And slowly, it took time to get better at that. So I guess it's more not ad copy, creative copy, um, to make organic work. So I was able to keep some people busy with that, but ultimately
Yeah.
you have to have that funnel bigger, like we were talking about earlier, right? Only one or two things will obviously keep things like steady, like slowly rolling. But if you want it to get going like an interstate, you need to have more things to funnel people in.
Yeah. Yeah. Ad copy is the words, creative is the imagery or video that's leveraged in the ads. And on Facebook, it relies more on imagery and video. And by the way, tastes on that change versus let's say Google ads, where it relies more on text and search, bidding on search. Two different platforms. So it helps to have the experts in your corner. But we also understand it at some point, you kind of fake it till you make it and do it on your own to save money. But then there comes a time when it needs investment from the experts.
Exactly.
So I want to have you take this one. We always say, speed to lead or in this example, lead to quote speed. So talk to me about this. How do you fix this?
It starts off with having a proper CRM. So a CRM is a customer relations management software. And what that does is it basically is like a dashboard or like a website app that holds all your clients in there. And people, they typically come with some sort of form that you could have people fill out, or you fill it out in there. Like when you get a call, you make sure that you input that into there. And most of them have these things called automations, which you set yourself or they are already set, but you want to edit them a little bit. And then once you submit, say Susan calls for a quote, you input her information, she'll instantly get an automated email follow-up and an automated text follow-up saying like, hey, thank you for booking your appointment. We have you set for this time at this place. For example, once you start paying for ads, you can have it automatically go from, say, Meta or Google right into that dashboard. So then once they fill out that form, they actually get a message. Ours is like, hi, customer name. What's a good time to chat? Quick 3-minute phone call to get this estimate scheduled. It's a little bit different than that, but something similar, and that works. And then you get that estimate scheduled as soon as possible. So we've even noticed we're able to close a little bit more now that we're able to get estimates same day or the next day. When you're a couple weeks out to get an estimate to them, they might already get a quote from someone else and go with them, because I've actually won quotes from that. Like, hey, when's your next estimate? Oh, he's 2 weeks out. Oh, well, we could have the project done by then. So speed always is going to win because you're selling time. Like, you're really selling time here.
Yeah. And we've built some pretty large, sophisticated automation systems. And I'll just tell people, it starts with one or two things and then it grows. You layer on new capabilities as you get in there, but it's all about speed. And you kind of have to think through the process, right? Like, oh, they just filled out a form to get a quote. What should we say? What do we ask them questions? Do we send them information? A lot of times at Fannit, if you book a discovery call, you usually get an email with a video of someone saying, here's what to expect on a discovery call. Here's what we're going to ask you generally about your business. This is what we hope to do on this call. So you build the process essentially in that CRM. And in this day and age, you're right, speed does always win. So leak number 3 is really the part about the sales process. I'll let the people read this on the screen, but tell me a little bit about and remind people what the what the leaks are here in the sales process, and what you're doing to fix them. Because earlier we were just talking about quotes, getting quotes out the door. Now we're talking about sales.
Yeah, so I'd say number one, look presentable. That's the first one. Pulling up, and if you get out your truck and a bunch of monster cans fall out, that's not the best look when you're coming out, right? We liked our salespeople to be in a collared shirt, exactly like that picture actually, and a branded shirt as well. And it's literally like, when you go into there, treat it like you're going to your mother's house, and as long as you respect your mother, right? And like, I think everybody should respect their mom, but I reckon some may not. But if you respect your mom, treat it like you're going to your mom's house or whoever you respect. Take your shoes off at the door, and actually have a conversation about like why they want to do this. So discovery is super important, and then write that quote while you're walking around with them, because it doesn't take very long to create these quotes. And then at that point, present it after you got everything done. Walk through before, let's rewind. Before presenting, go ahead and make sure you've got the scope correct. So after walking around, you say, okay, this bedroom, the guest bedroom, you want the ceiling, walls, and trim done in there, the doors, and then the closets too, right? Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now you edit your proposal if you forgot those closets, add the closets. Okay, Susan, let's go ahead and sit down at the kitchen table and we'll walk through this. Sit down, get them comfortable, and then go ahead and present, hey, this price, for that, it's only $4,035. Silence.
Yeah.
And then after that, typically you got to work through some objections, all that stuff. And I mean, obviously, we don't have time to go into all that today, but ultimately, it's just work through as many objections as you can. If you can't, get to the bottom and get that deposit. Go ahead and schedule a follow up. I don't call it a follow up, I just schedule a good time to talk about this again, after they've had enough time to think about it. And then you still have those automations coming through on your CRM. That way, it reminds them of like information that you could give. Like, hey, this was, or like sending out testimonials to them works really well for the automations too, after proposals sent.
Yeah, this is all foundational stuff that we're going through today, but hopefully, Eli and anybody else out there it's a good reminder, or it's like, oh, here's the places where I have leaks and this is how we could fix it, or how I should fix it. And it'll give you some ideas. The last one is, everybody's been talking about this for a long time. It's not new. People know what to do here, but it always surprises me at some level, business owners that we meet that do this inconsistently.
Yeah, it happens across the board a lot. And something that I actually even found myself guilty of about a year ago is we were only asking for Google reviews. Why not ask, like, we were asking for referrals too, and like if you ever see somebody that needs a painter, but like sometimes you go back to this, like the house a second time, ask for a next door review, ask for a Facebook review, ask for a shout out on Instagram. I don't know, like ask. Like, it does not hurt to ask. You'd be amazed how many people say yes when you just ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Google's a good foundational stuff, or foundational place to start, because especially if you don't have them, it is a signal to the Google search algorithms. And now, as we are finding out, AI, it's part of that. AI still uses a lot of the information that is out there on Google about your business, and
Yeah.
reviews are a part of that.
Yeah, and I think a good bonus to do with that, like especially with the Google reviews, it's great because it's got those 5 beautiful stars, right? So you can take a screenshot of that and then just like record a quick little selfie video of yourself talking about the job. Like, yeah, we painted those 2 bedrooms, ceiling, walls, trim, and doors, and the closets. Susan was super happy. She left a 5-star review. She even had this to say. You point at it, Google review pops up, and you say, exactly the review, and then you go, if you know anybody that's neat painting, reach out. It works great. You can double dip on all this stuff and like create content out of getting the reviews too. Not only are you boosting the engagement on Google, but then you're also getting more content out there, which helps your search engine optimization because you're saying more and having more content out in the webiverse.
The Webiverse. I like that. Out there in the ether. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope this was helpful to Eli. He's still there, or whoever else is there. Eli, do you have any questions for us, for Brandon or myself?
Hey guys, I'm still here. I was just hearing, and I know my English is not the best, but trust me, I'm trying my best right now. I was lucky to meet Brandon a couple months ago, and he's a real hustler, and I like everything he does when it comes to like, bidding, giving estimates, or even like teaching me like the method he was saying, like use like pricing on site. Like last week, he mentioned that before, and last week I was bidding on a house. It was interior, and I walked with the client everywhere where it needed painting, and at the end, I had a price on my mind and on paper, and I asked him like, "Yo, what's like? When do you want to start?" Sorry for my English, guys. One more time. I was
No, it's
asking him,
beautiful.
and I was asking him like, where would you think would be a good time to start? And he said, as soon as I get a good price. And then I told him, well, I have a good price, and the price is gonna be 3,800. And then he said, sweet. So when can you start? I told him, well, I need a 30% deposit, and I can start in 3 days. He gave me deposit like on spot, which was the first time ever. Like 3 months ago, before I met Brendan, I was always like walking the house. I was come up with the price, but I would follow up with the price the next day or like a couple hours later with a message. So I would send the clients a message, and then they would get back to me maybe 2 days later, 3 days later, and they would be like, "Oh, your price is too high," or "I found somebody else." I would have that happen to me a lot of times, and I know my work. Like I always try. I treat every house like it's my house. So and I was thinking like, what am I doing wrong? But like when he said like give price on site, like that really really works, and I never thought about it like that. Because when I'm on my phone, when I'm like I'm trying to be like detailed what I'm gonna do and what products I'm gonna use and all that, but I feel like they don't care. They just want the price.
Yeah. So do you think that's going to help you sell even more in the future?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that worked for me last week, and that was the first time I used it. So I think the second time will be better from my side also. Like, so I'm sure that's gonna help me close more jobs for sure.
Definitely, brother. And I could see getting some of that stuff set up that we were just talking about a little bit ago with like the CRMs and stuff. And actually Fannit over here sets one up for you whenever you're a client, which is beautiful, and same with IPA. So we actually are able to set that up for you whenever you do come on board. And as Tony just threw up, you can get a complimentary growth accelerator session with Chris or myself, or and it's genuinely like beneficial. Do you have like any questions about any of it that we could answer?
So man, I have a lot of questions, honestly. And so the first job ever that I got on my own, that was like a word of mouth. I was getting paid by hour. I was working for a company. Like I was taking care of everything, but still I was getting paid by hour. And then there was a moment where I was like, I can do this on my own. It's just like I need some like leads and I tried Nextdoor, and I didn't do any ads. I just, like you said, try to get that Nextdoor review. And the first review I got at Nextdoor, she posted about my work and like my work ethic, communication. I feel like a lot of people they care a lot about work ethic and communication as well. They really want to know like who's coming at their house. Like it's very important. And I had this client last year. She posted a review on me. From that first review, I ended up having like 34 reviews, like getting more leads, more clients, and that all started with one review in Nextdoor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. And like when
I
you start adding in and layering in ads too,
So
like
ads, I tried ads, Nextdoor ads, honestly, but they didn't work very well for me. What worked good for me, and I tried that in December. I did like a marketplace post, like you're selling something, like you're selling a product, and I put there for like paint, just that, and then I on the description I wrote down like we offer free estimates, we do interior painting, we have a discount and all that kind of stuff. And I think I paid like $15 per day, and I did it only for like 3 days, but I ended up closing 2 jobs from that. But somehow I don't know why I keep stop doing that. I don't know how. But like I know you gotta be consistent in that, but I don't have the systems. Like I cannot do all that on my own because I right now at the moment I don't have guys that can start and finish a job on their own without me being there. So it's I don't know. Like I was thinking about trying the meta ads. I never tried them, and what I heard, it's like start with the $50 per day minimum. So what would you think it would be like a first step in the advertisement game, like meta ads or like Google SEO or
I'd say it starts with getting a system in place. Wouldn't you agree, Tony? And then you can layer on the ads.
Yeah, it's a little bit of setup it takes to get that. Not a huge amount, but it takes a little bit of that so that when you start getting people that respond to the ads, you have the system there that that the automation kicks off, that you get notified, all the things work properly. Um, it's it's kind of like what's a good analogy? If you run ads and don't have that set up, the chances of you having a leak in that process just go up.
Yeah, like
I
for
see.
example, Eli, if you're like it's a little different for painting, but it's a good way to think of it. If you're having your toilet where you can't get it unclogged or something, and you're calling a plumber, or your heat's out and you're calling an AC guy, and the first one doesn't answer, and the second one doesn't answer, and then the third one answers, you're going with the third one
That's
99%
true.
of the time.
That's true.
And then having that way that you can get that answered, or have a quick automation to say, hey, what's a good time to chat, or whatever it may be with your automation. That's how you can, like, having that system in place is how you don't leak out those leads, because especially when you're paying money for them, I mean, no matter what, leads are expensive, even if they are word of mouth, because I look at each lead, even though like when you are paying for them, whether they be $100, $50, $200, like some of these clients are worth $100,000, right?
That's
So it's like,
100% true.
so it's like you're you having that automations in place and understanding the CRM or something like that is what will truly benefit and make your money go farther. Don't you agree, Tony?
Yeah, you have to look at it like an investor. I'm putting money in to get something out, and you want to stretch that as far as you can. And that's what Brandon and his teams do to help painters specifically. But it's the same with any business owner, right? You have to think about it like an investor, and a true owner that is a good steward of the money that you bring in from your customers.
Hey man, I think we got about 3 minutes, so we might be able to run through one more question if you got it, Eli.
So, I know we talked. We talked before, like the way, like to set up the system, the automation, like the follow up, and like it happened to me as well. Like sometimes by mistake, I would click on an ad when I'm scrolling on my phone. So that would be like a HVAC company or any company, and then I get the message on Messenger, like I get the automation messages. So is that what you like talk? Is that like one app that can take care of all of that? Is it just one system that will take care of all that automation messages, or is it like a few apps or like a few websites that can follow up with the client, and then you can just go and bid on site?
That's a great question. So what ultimately helps is having that CRM in place, which we can all like set up for you. And you're lucky enough that we're actually pretty close in area, and I could even show you how it works, or hop on a call and show you how it works. What you're seeing on there is something a little bit different. It's like automation through Facebook, which is also something different, like a different system, but is easy to set up as well. And we could do that for you as well. It's just that's inside of Meta, and you want that when you have Meta as well. But you do want when they contact you to also get a like automation as well. And the way you do that is have it's called a CRM, client or customer um, relationship manager.
I understand. So what do
Yep.
you think, since we only have 2 minutes? Sorry to interrupt you, Brandon.
Go for it.
What do you think? What do you think would be like a budget to start, like to try out like a system like that?
That's a great question. What would you think, Tony?
Well, that's kind of a range. It really depends on what's being provided with it. I can tell you this: if it's something you want to do on your own, I think with the CRM plus text messaging, I want to say that's like $109 a month. Don't quote me on it exactly, but that's
Okay.
just if you want to have somebody help set it up. There's more that goes into that, and then if we're also doing other things for you. Typically, what we do is say, look, here's what a monthly fee would look like, a monthly fixed fee that we operate on, and here's what we're doing for that fee, and here's what's included in that fee. That's something you can talk about with if you schedule this growth accelerator session that's here, or you could reach out to Brandon and he could help you with that as well if you really were interested.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm interested. Like I'm learning every day, and I'm also a guy who likes to be on site, actually work. But the thing about well, me and Brandon, we're not far from each other. We're both in Michigan, and I have I know a lot of like painters, like who own companies. They end up getting subs from like big commercial companies, which is mostly like schools or warehouses. But like Brendan set it up. Like I love the way he set it up. Like with the residential, I don't know a lot of guys who do that. So like, of course, I would love to learn to set up a system like that. And
Well, how about this? I'll send you over a link, and we can actually schedule a time just to literally only chat about this. We don't even have to chat about paint life or anything like that. We can, but ultimately we could just dive into like, hey, how do we set up these systems? What kind of thing can we do? Where could the budget be? If it's not, even if it's not there yet, like, this is something you could put in your back pocket for, a month, 6 months, whatever, and have it in your brain. Ultimately, we want to get you there as fast as possible. So we just take and schedule that call, have that call, get some clarity on your questions, answer as many questions as you have, and then we go from there. And how's that sound?
That sounds amazing, and I would love that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think we're about a minute over. I know I've got some kids that are hungry. I don't know about you, Tony. I know you're on a different time zone and stuff. And Eli, I'm sure you're about pulling in the house. So I'll get you that link over. Just go ahead and schedule something and we will take and go ahead and get that going. And Tony, I think this was a pretty awesome session. And Eli, I hope it brought you some value, and anybody on the YouTube world and what did I call it, the Webiverse. If anybody on the Webiverse sees this and gains some value on it, drop a comment below and let us know like what you want to see next.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
All
I'll
right,
talk to you
thank
guys
you
soon.
guys. Thank you so much.
Of course, Eli. Have a great night.
All right, you as well. Thank you so much.